It took about a 20th of a second for the bullet to get from the barrel of that gun to the target. That's pretty fast. But in that same 20th of a second, this 8386 microprocessor from Intel can perform 200,000 calculations. That's pretty fast, too. Today, we're going to take a look at the whole new generation of 386-based machines computing in the fast lane on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible by Leading Edge, makers of IBM-compatible computer systems, including Lotus Lookalike Spreadsheet, word processing with spelling correction, communication software, and Hayes-compatible 1200 baud modem. Leading Edge with over 1,000 service centers nationwide. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Gary Kildall is off working. George Morrow's away, so with me today is Jan Lewis, who is also president of the Palo Alto Research Group. Jan, this is what the fuss is all about, the 8386 microprocessor from Intel. Now, no real operating system, no real software yet people are waiting in line to buy computers with a 386 in it. More talk about it than probably anything since the IBM PC came out. Is this a lot of hype, or is this really a major development in personal computers?
Oh, this is not just hype, Stuart. This is a quantum leap in personal computers. Right now, people are standing in line to get these systems just for the raw speed that it offers. Graphics applications, telecommunications, CAD/CAM require a lot of speed. But the real promise of this chip are in the applications that will be coming down the road in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years. A whole new breed of software and applications.
Jan, we're going to take a look at the new Compact Desk Pro 386. We'll also look at the new Zenith Z386. We'll talk to the people from Intel about the chip, and we'll talk to a software developer about future applications on 386 computers. First of all, we are going to get Gary into the act. We're going to go visit Gary Kildall's workshop in Monterey, California for a preview look at what a 386 computer can really do.
Very few hardware introductions have received as much attention as Intel's new 386 microprocessor. The fast 32-bit chip is already available in a number of desktop machines at prices that definitely put it into the microcomputer category. The Knowledge Set Corporation in Monterey, California, recently purchased a 386 Micro to assist their CD-ROM software developers. So far, the machine runs compilation tests about 3 times faster than the AT, and equally shines in calculation-intensive graphics displays.
The 386 machine that we're using here is important in a development environment because it lets us get through our programming tasks a lot faster than we were able to do before. In fact, where we would have used a VAX maybe for a program development, we now are using the 386 much more to do for each engineer. And it's we don't have to have the halon fire extinguisher systems or the computer room that's got the air conditioning in it and things of that sort. Very expensive operation to run a bigger machine.
Closing the gap between minis and micros is certain to affect prices and likely to give a boost to the development of new applications.
The reason that we're going to see new applications is not so much because of that of the 386, but the fact that it's now readily accessible to a large number of people. Now you could consider building, say, an expert system that you could sell.
In spite of all the publicity, 32-bit chips are not new technology. But developers see special promise in this new round of introductions.
The interesting thing is that the 386 has grown out of the IBM PC world, and it's not just the 386 that's important here. It's the idea that it's now accepted in our society, in a computer consuming society, as being the next stage to move to. Well, that means that as we move into a machine like this, that the basic underlying functionality has got to be improved considerably.
Joining us now in the studio is Michael Swavely. Michael's the Vice President of Marketing for Compaq Computers, makers of the Compaq Desk Pro 386. Also with us from Compaq is Lynn Parsons, who's going to be operating the 386 during our demonstration. Jan?
Mike, these machines have been selling like hotcakes. Who is buying them and what are they using them for?
Well, Jan, they have been selling well, and a whole range of customers are finding that they meet their needs. Most of these customers are really looking for the power and performance that the 386 brings to their applications, whether they're very large spreadsheets, very large databases, or more specialized applications such as CAD CAE, network file servers, or even a small multi-user system running Xenix.
So I guess it's really the speed, as Jan mentioned at the beginning of the show, that the users are looking for now. I want to try to give our audience a feel for the speed of this machine. You've got a very complex macro up here, which you're going to run on a spreadsheet. Tell us about the demo.
Right. This is about a 5,000 cell spreadsheet, and this is a very complicated macro running under Lotus 123. And
okay, let's just sort of run this macro now, Lynn, and we'll see how long it takes.
Okay, well, as you could tell, it was a very complex macro, even for 123,
right.
And fills in the spreadsheet, does some recalculations, then goes back and does some comparisons, and then refills the spreadsheet, a couple other items like that, and takes a grand total of all of about 16 seconds to complete this very complex spreadsheet.
And there it is.
And there it is.
And we saw it went out to about 500 rows there, didn't it?
Right, over 5,000 cells are worked with in this particular example.
Okay, to really get a sense of the comparative speed here, Lynn, I'm going to ask you, you can set up the Compaq to run in the 8088 mode at 4.77 megahertz. So if, Lynn, you'll do that and run that same macro on the same spreadsheet, we'll run a clock on it and see what the difference is.
Okay.
You know, this brings up an interesting question, though. Does the speed of the 386, does this obsolete the AT and the 286?
No, I don't think it obsoletes it. There will still be a significant price difference for the added performance of the 386, and I think that both the 286-based products as well as the 386-based products will have a place in the marketplace for the next several years.
Okay, excuse me, you've just started running the demo now in the slower mode. So we'll run a clock on this and we'll see how long it takes.
Okay.
Mike, what about this issue of compatibility? I mean, how nervous should a user be? We see here an example of compatibility in which you're able to put it into that 8088 mode. All existing software will run on this?
Yes, basically Compaq is staking its reputation that is built for delivering the utmost in compatibility on this product, as we do with every new product we introduce. And the user should feel very comfortable with the compatibility of the product.
Now, some users are worried about what IBM will do, and any day IBM will announce its 386 machine, and everybody's saying, what a gutsy move on the part of Compaq to be out there first. How afraid is the company of this? How risky a move is it really?
We don't feel like it's a risky move at all. We believe that the industry standard that has been established for software for the business marketplace is clearly in place. And what we've done here with the Desk Pro 386 is innovate within that existing standard, as opposed to trying to go outside the standard and do something different. Now, IBM may or may not enter the marketplace at any point in the future. The market will judge what IBM brings to the market in the same way as it judges any other manufacturer's new products.
And you're not worried about their getting out there on a standard which is slightly different from yours and having to battle that?
Not particularly, because they do have to live within the market realities. And the reality is that American business has made an enormous investment in the industry standard. And for IBM or anyone else,
they may have buried themselves in this standard here.
This
thing is still running, by the way, Jan. You know, we're still watching the slower version, NXT, if you will, trying to still do those recalculations. This still says wait, wait, wait. While we're waiting, Mike, one other question. When do you see people are saying, well, where's the real application? Where's the real power? Jan was talking about the graphics, all the new things we'll be able to do. When is that going to happen?
Well, I think that the introduction of the Desk Pro 386 has kicked off the start of that. And frankly, there's hundreds of companies out in the industry right now working on new hardware capabilities, new software capabilities to really deliver all the benefits of the 386 architecture to the customer. So I think we'll start seeing those.
What do you know? It done it. It did it. And on my watch, it took 2 minutes and 17 seconds for it to do what took 16 seconds when you were running it with the 386 chip.
Yeah, about 8.5 times longer.
Pretty impressive. Thank you very much. Now, as Mike said, some software companies already are working on applications for the 386. One of the first out of the gate is Sun Microsystems, and Wendy Woods has a report on that.
You're looking at several programs running at once on a 386-based PC. The windows are the manifestation of a programming tool called News from Sun Microsystems. Previously, this product was only available for use on Sun workstations. Pardon the pun, but why is this news? Because Sun is betting that the 386 will become as pervasive as the chip that runs today's PC. By getting in there first with a windowing product that can be adapted to many machines, Sun hopes to make News the new windowing standard.
If you look at both in CAD/CAM, publishing, those sorts of markets, 386 is going to be a player. News is going to be, we believe, a component in every one of those. In addition, customers who have Suns would be able to use the same applications on both Suns and on the 386's running News. And that's, again, why it's attractive to license News to the 386 community.
News is also unique in that it is partially constructed with PostScript, a sophisticated imaging model which enables a user to manipulate the size and scale of each window. Will Sun's News on the 386 be as successful as the company hopes? Well, only time will tell. But the fact is, there are a good 24 software companies, many of them big names, already using News to write their applications for the 386. And that tells you something about their level of confidence. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Wendy Woods.
With us now in the studio is Bob Dilworth, the president of Zenith Data Systems, makers of the new Zenith Z386 computer. Also with us in the studio is Holden Oust from Zenith, who's going to be operating the 386 for us. Jan?
Bob, how is your machine different from the Compact Desk Pro 386 that we just saw?
They're very similar. There are some features. We both basically had to design without knowing what each other was doing, and obviously both companies are interested in trying to protect standards where we can. But we're unique in the way we handle memory. We're have some advantages in cache memory, things like that, that make it a little bit different. But they're both very fast MS-DOS machines, is really what the...
Is the machine out now? Is this a product at this point?
It is a product. It is out, and we're shipping primarily early samples to some of our existing customers.
Who are buying these machines now, and what are they using them for?
And generally speaking, it's people that need the speed or need lots of memory access or speed in handling large database files.
Is there a real market for the 386 machine just based on speed and memory, or is it going to really depend on the new, more sophisticated applications for this kind of machine to really move?
Obviously, the new applications, and some new applications, will drive the market, but already we see sophisticated software packages that are sluggish, even on a 286 product. Mm-hmm. And so they need that 386 to really make the packages snap. And it's like any computer system, we can be doing days worth of work in seconds, and you want it to come quicker and faster.
Okay, let's try to show some snap here. And Holden, we're going to ask you to run this. We have now, I guess, what's in here, a 10-page document in WordStar?
That's right.
Not known as a fast mover necessarily, right? And what are we going to do? What are you going to demonstrate?
I believe we're going to correct a document. We've made some errors somewhere, so that you're going to go through and...
Yeah, you mistyped the word memory, M-E-M-O-R-I, and you forgot the period and the space in that sentence. Okay, now I happen to know, since we prepared this here for you, that error occurs 90 times in this document. So I want you to do a search and replace and correct that. Let's see how long it takes to correct that. Go ahead, Holden. Whipping right along.
That's fast.
And I guess if you're a usual WordStar user and if you run that on a slower machine, you know, it takes a lot longer.
It's a timely process.
To do 90 search and replaces there than that.
And you notice it's shifting the line at the same time as it goes through these 90 occurrences.
That's right, because the correction is longer than the original word.
That's right.
And I guess we see I guess it tells you what page you're on. We're almost about finished that document there. Any sense of comparison in speed, Bob, as to how much faster this is than if you were doing this on a...
3 to 4 times faster than on a 286, and of course much faster on an 8080 product.
Holden, I want to ask you to do one more thing to try to show the speed here. I see the word Zenith is the last word in the document, and it occurs nowhere else in the document. Let's see how long it would take if we wanted to do a search and replace on the word Zenith. In other words, see how long it takes to go through those 10 pages. And I think We better tell the audience to watch very carefully, because I've seen this done before.
Don't blink.
And go, go. Did it. Okay, faster than the eye can see. Bob, what about IBM? Everybody's talking about waiting for IBM. What will IBM's move be? What do you think is going to happen there?
Not sure. I think, in fact, you know, we read the press and read all the same documents everybody else reads and really don't have any advantage. We expect that they will eventually use the chip in some fashion. Really don't know when and how fast, and we'll just all have to wait and see.
What do you think the consequences are going to be to users when these new kinds of applications come along? I mean, how will the availability of 386, Jen described this as a quantum leap in personal computing. What's that going to mean to the businessman, to the corporate user, and so on, in terms of what you can do, really, that you can't do now, other than do it faster?
You know, I think that the next step in many of the software packages, and you need to sort of stop, and people buy applications that are then backed up by software, which is finally needs hardware to run the application. So we really don't drive the market with a piece of hardware. What really drives the market is the software. And in this particular case, I think we're going to see software packages where, to make them easy to use, you know, the artificial intelligence type of products, are going to need this kind of power and speed in order to make them an acceptable application.
Bob Holden, thank you very much for joining us. Now, in just a minute, we're going to talk to guests from Intel and Phoenix Technologies and talk about the future of the 386. Stay with us. Joining us now in the studio is Neil Colvin, Chairman and CEO of Phoenix Technologies, and sitting next to Neil is Dana Crelly, Marketing Manager for the 8386 at Intel.
Dana, the 386 is being hailed as a major breakthrough in personal computing. Can you give us some background on the 386 and why all the fuss?
Well, certainly. First of all, the 386 is the 32-bit generation of the 86 architecture technology, which the 8088 generation of PCs is based on, and after that, the 286 generation of PCs is based on our 286. The 386 is a 32-bit member of the family and offers not only compatibility with those previous generations of machines, as well as a performance increment over what those machines are able to do, but offers a much richer architecture from which the software developers will be able to make a lot more things available to end users.
Dana, we know the hardware usually leads the software here, and of course that's one of the issues we talk about in utilizing the 386. Now, what about the operating system specifically? What's going to happen there with the 386 to take advantage of it?
Well, first of all, the Unix technology base is already well underway for the 386. The Unix System 5 Release 3 port to the 386 is in beta site today at over 50 different OEMs who are developing products based on Unix and the 386. And certification from AT&T should happen in the early first quarter next year. Additionally, several OEMs are developing products that surround the 386 and Unix with various features, as well as ISVs, one of which we'll see today with Neil running DOS on top of Unix. There are several companies doing that, including Locus, as well as Phoenix and Interactive. And additionally, there's windowing technologies being put onto 386 Unix from Sun Microsystems, as well as others. So for the Unix marketplace, the mini computer and workstation marketplace, the software environment for the 386 is already very well developed and about ready to come to market in a lot of machines.
Okay, you've led us into Neil now, so let's talk about your product, which is called vPix, I believe, and what does it do?
Well, vPix is an integration of the Unix environment for the 386 and the PC-DOS PC environment that we are also familiar with. It allows you to run any PC task under Unix as a Unix task.
And what is the advantage, then, of doing that on the 386?
It gives you an ability to have the best of both worlds. You can run your Unix jobs, which are typically CAD/CAM, high-level engineering, things like that, and then at the same time switch immediately to running some of the more popular DOS-type applications such as Lotus or Ashton Tate's DBase or something.
Could you give us a demonstration of vPix and describe the setup you have here, Neil?
Okay. What we have here is we have a serial terminal and a regular IBM EGA-type terminal. Okay. And the serial terminal is hooked over an RS-232 link to the processor. And
you're playing two people here.
I'm playing two people. Keyboards. This is a two-user Unix system, so that in fact we are running two separate Unix tasks at the same time. For instance, if I type a standard Unix command on here, we see that we're running a Unix system with a Unix type file structure.
Okay.
And what I'll do is on the EGA, I'll start up our virtual PC. If I can type.
Okay.
Now, this is just as if we were booting a regular PC or PC compatible. We come up with the ROM sign-on message, we actually load in a PC DOS, and now we're up and running in a virtual PC. One of the things that we can do is we can actually nest these types of environments in the sense that we can run another operating environment like Microsoft Windows right on top of this virtual PC. And we'll start up Microsoft Windows here, and I'll select an actual Microsoft Windows task. One of them, which just sort of runs all by itself, is their clock, which you can put into a window, and it sits here and counts time
so
for
we're
us.
running Microsoft Windows under MS-DOS, and at the same time,
we're still running Unix on the other terminal. I can do another Unix job over here if I wanted to, another screen display or something like that. Or I can start up another virtual PC on this terminal. Now, this terminal is not a PC screen, it's just a serial terminal, but I can still bring up such applications as Lotus 123 simultaneously.
and there it is.
Right.
Okay, now, and I think you can also show me, okay, we've got Lotus over there, we've got Microsoft Windows running over there.
Right.
I think you can also show me actually how we can see the two different Unix and MS-DOS directories.
Right. One of the very interesting things is, and let's just stop Lotus here very rapidly. Is that we are actually using exactly the same file structures for both applications, both in the case of Unix. Here we have the Unix files, and we'll quickly close down the Windows operation over here. Get back to the standard DOS environment.
As usual here, the machine is a lot faster than the man.
Yeah, that's
the slowest part of this system.
And if I do a standard DOS directory command here, we're actually looking at exactly the same set of files in both cases. In this case, we're looking at it from the DOS point of view, and here we're looking at it from the Unix point of view.
Dana, let me ask you, we've heard a lot about the different modes in running the 386, virtual mode and protected mode and so on. Explain that. What does all that mean?
Well, first of all, there's really one mode in the processor that everybody is using, and that is the protected mode of the processor. The virtual capabilities, the ability to run a virtual 86 machine on top of a Unix, is all contained within the protected mode. So the virtual capability is a subset of the protected mode and is selectable on a task-by-task or user-by-user basis within the protected mode.
And protected mode means?
It means the full architecture of the machine, the full 32-bit virtual memory architecture of the processor.
So that means that an application, for instance, could not clobber the operating system, or vice versa.
That's
one of the reasons we call it protected mode is because there are several intrinsic features in the chip that allow protection, first of all, from the application being able to hurt the operating system, and also from an application to being able to hurt another application. And then further, there's also protection from within an application being able to do wrong things to the machine. There's protection on all those different areas within a full 32-bit multitasking environment.
Real quick, gentlemen, about 30 seconds. What's the future here? What does a 386 machine mean to the user down the line now, once we get the applications going?
Well, I think it'll mean that the applications that will become available in the next couple of years will be far more powerful than the applications we have today. Many of them we expect to incorporate a lot of artificial intelligence techniques to allow the machine to be molded to the user now, rather than vice versa in the past.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Jan, thank you for being with us here. We're all out of time. We'll be back in just a minute with this week's Computer News. In the Random Access file this week, it's time for all the IBM prognosticators to be proven right or wrong. Rumors floated for months at the end of '86 that 1987 would see Big Blue come out with a new low-end PC aimed at the education market, a new souped-up 286 machine, and a new 386-based computer. But while everyone waits to see what's new, it appears that IBM has called it quits on the original PC, the computer that revolutionized the personal computer business. Sources say that production of the IBM PC has stopped and that production facilities are being retooled for the new generation of PCs expected this year. Despite the reports that PC production is over, the original IBM PC still accounts for about 7% of all PC sales. What will 1987 be the year of? Remember this time last year when all the writers were saying that 1986 would be the year of artificial intelligence? Well, it didn't turn out that way. AI products have generally been a disappointment, and the stock prices of AI companies fell to a 3-year low at the end of '86, down an average of 26% from a year ago. One big factor in the future of artificial intelligence applications will be the role of the Defense Department, which up until now has been a major supporter of AI research, especially to support Star Wars or SDI. A recent study by Rider College in New Jersey concludes that college students who use computers and word processors get better grades on papers than students who use typewriters. The study found that on a 4-point scale, papers done on a word processor averaged a 3.1, while papers done on a typewriter averaged only a 2.6. Other interesting results were that in the sample of 200 papers, no student who used a word processor failed a paper, and papers on word processors tended to be longer than typewritten ones. Finally, and this was a surprise, 76% of the papers done on computers were written by women. Lawmakers in Montana have come up with a new idea for an online database that lists all pending bills before the state legislature, the names of sponsors, the schedules for committee hearings, and the status of the bills. Users pay a flat fee of $100 for unlimited access to the system. Time for this week's software review. Here's Paul Schindler.
Go away, don't bother me. Oh, it's you. Well, okay, I'll let you in on a little secret. Any doubts I had about the Atari ST computer were wiped out when I saw Time Bandit, a simply spectacular collection of maze-type games that takes full advantage of the color graphics capability of the Atari. There are 16 separate games included in this single package, each of which can be played at 16 different levels. These people even make selecting what game to play into a game. If you aren't careful during the selection process, you'll be carried off by a spaceship to a game not of your choice. Take a good look at these graphics. They may not show up clearly on your screen, but the torches even flicker. The monsters that chase you in these mazes cover the range from ghosts to something that looks like a tomato. The problem with most games is boredom. With Time Bandits, there's so many choices it's hard to imagine wearing it out. Hats off to Mitch Tron of Pontiac, Michigan, distributors of this nifty $40 Atari game. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
A California travel writer has come out with what may be the first complete book distributed exclusively on a floppy disk. It's called West Coast Travel California, and it's selling for $19.95. The author, Lee Foster, says it's much more practical than a printed book. Updates and new editions are cheaper, and readers can pull out only those chapters they really want and print them out. And, says Foster, after underlining and scribbling all over the pages, you can always print out a fresh copy from your computer. Finally, a computer researcher at Bell Labs says she has done a computer analysis of Leonardo da Vinci's painting the Mona Lisa and a sketch of the artist himself, and she concludes da Vinci himself was the model for Mona Lisa. She says the computer analysis of the facial structure of da Vinci and Mona Lisa show they are identical. She says stories that the model was a woman named Mona Lisa Gherardini are only based on rumor and hearsay. And further, she says Leonardo da Vinci was probably gay and Mona Lisa was probably a fantasy self-portrait. That's it for this week's Chronicles. We'll see you next time.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible by Leading Edge, makers of IBM-compatible computer systems, including Lotus lookalike spreadsheet, word processing with spelling correction, communication software, and Hayes-compatible 1200 baud modem. Leading Edge with over 1,000 service centers nationwide. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.